5 years ago, we started
honored to have members of Congress here today, including Congressman Esteban Torres and Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi and Representative Carlos Romero Barcelo. And we're especially pleased as well to have the distinguished Secretary General of the Organization of American States and one of your predecessors, Mr. President, Cesar Gaviria Trujillo. As a personal friend, I would also like to acknowledge former White House Chief of Staff Mac McLarty, who has spent so much time improving relations between the United States and Colombia. Mr. President, John F. Kennedy, who visited Colombia in his very first year as president of our perhaps most among all human births. During his trip there, he praised the courage of the Colombian people. His appreciation for courage prompted him later to write the Pulitzer Prize-winning book Profiles in Courage. And I'm reminded by his words when he visited your country that today there are thousands upon thousands of profiles in courage among the citizens and judges and journalists and prosecutors and politicians of the Republic of Colombia. Over the last several decades, the Colombian people have ferociously defended their freedom and democracy from the lawless aims of drug traffickers, rebel groups, and right-wing death squads. Mr. President, the people of the world see you as a hero of that battle. In the 1980s, after the Minister of Justice had been killed, after Supreme Court justices had been murdered, when it was clear that no enemy of the drug traffickers was safe, you still spoke out boldly against them. You knew their method. They try to buy you. If they cannot buy you, they try to kill you. You did not care. Them, harassed them, exposed them, and shamed them. They struck back. They kidnapped you. But even after you had been freed, you were still unafraid. As mayor of Bogota, you saw them kill 3 presidential candidates, and then you became a presidential candidate, and you kept on fighting. The Colombian people recognize, respect, and reward courage, Mr. President, and so they elected you president by the largest margin in the history of your nation. Unfortunately, Misael Pastrana, the distinguished president of the Republic and distinguished ambassador here to the United States, did not live to see his son elected president. But Misael Pastrana Borrero was a visionary, Mr. President. Decades ago, he worked to make government more transparent and efficient. Decades ago, he proposed and promoted the first national environmental legislation ever proposed in Latin America. And although I have not completed the research, I have not found another comprehensive national environmental statute anywhere in the world that preceded the one that your father proposed. He was a visionary, and I believe that because he was a visionary, he did not have to live to see you become president in order to know that you would indeed become president. So congratulations, sir, on your election and inauguration as president of the Republic of Colombia. But typically for you, the story did not end there. After your election, you again drew on your courage to help heal your country. In an historic move, you went into the jungle to meet with the leaders of the largest guerrilla group. And by going to meet them at the risk of your life, you have certainly won their respect. By your continuing acts of courage, you may also win their cooperation and help to bring to an end more than 30 years of war. Because of your courage, Mr. President, the United States of America hears with new hope and faith when you declare, as you did in your inaugural address, El cambio comienza hoy. Change begins today. We hear with new hope and faith when you declare, en mi administración no habrá espacio para la corrupción. In my administration, there will be no place for corruption. Mr. President, anyone can say such words, but you have already shown the courage and commitment it will take to enforce those words. Gabriel Garcia Marquez once wrote, "Justice limps along, but it gets there all the same." Well, Mr. President, the people have tired of waiting for justice. It is time for justice to arrive. So let the Americas work together with you to hasten the pace of justice, to speed the arrival of peace, to accelerate our drive toward prosperity, so that both of our peoples, and especially our children, can know the peace and progress and prosperity that is their God-given right in this God-blessed hemisphere. This will demand change. This will demand greater cooperation between our two countries than we have ever seen before. On the occasion of this visit, Mr. President, let it begin. El cambio comienza hoy. I ask you to join me in the toast.
Not as a tribute to me, but as a tribute to the hardworking, long-suffering, but hopeful people of Colombia. They have given so much of themselves in the midst of so many problems to build our society, to educate their children, and to defend the children of the world against the threat of drugs. Judges, magistrates, candidates, journalists, and young Colombians in our armed forces and national police have lost lives and won important victories on the frontiers of this battle. Come to the United States in their name to stand with President Clinton, President and General McCarthy to renew and not only to but to win. I also come here on behalf of the people of Colombia to advance their fundamental priority of peace. We have seen the progress made with your indispensable help in Ireland and in the Middle East, and also with Peru and Ecuador last week. Like your President, like Secretary Albright, we are both open-handed and clear-headed in our pursuit of peace. We Colombians must guide this peace process ourselves with courage and the resolve to heal our country, but never to divide it or give any sanctuary to drugs. As we move ahead, we seek the support of this nation, which has become the peacemaker of the world in the 1990s. I am especially honored to be here today with Vice President Gore. There is no one in a position of power anywhere who has done more to preserve the environment as a sacred trust for future generations. From the Andean heights to the rainforest and the Caribbean coast, Colombia is the most biodiverse country in the world. Number one in plant life, and second in animal life. Who knows what medical breakthrough out this abundance will yield in the years ahead? The preservation of the environment is one of my administration priorities. We share and we draw strength from your Vice President's call to defend the integrity of the earth. As he has written, our very existence assigned to us a duty of moral alertness to what we do. Vice President Gore has brought that imperative to the center of public life. He has led not only on the environment, but on public health and education. He is the world leader in bringing the internet to our schools and the future of our children. And I am happy to tell you that on this trip, with the help of Vice President, Colombia secured an agreement to connect our scientists and students to the internet through the GLOBE system. Let me add that Colombia also, even that she's not with us, we are also well aware of Gore's work against homelessness and her work for mental health. She and Nora share the belief that you can raise a wonderful family while making a real difference. Mr. Vice President, I believe I am a lucky husband and that you are too. Ladies and gentlemen, will you raise your glasses and join me in a toast to a rare political leader who is also a prophetic voice, to the Vice President of the United States.
Thank you. That's very good.